Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
This is a reread of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame as we prepare for the book Onyx Storm. This podcast is all vibes, no facts. Spoilers ahead. My house, my chair, my woman.
My God. My drenched undies. No?
Did the scene do it for you?
No. But I did piss myself.
Oh.
Laughing while I heard him say such absurd bullshit. No, I'm just teasing. I'm joking. Did it work for you the first time?
The first time, it's definitely a sexy scene.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like, I have been looking forward to this scene. I would say this is my favorite scene in the entirety of 2 books.
Out of both? All of them?
All 2 of them.
So far.
And I think it's what saved Iron Flame, with a lot of the conversations that kind of drone on with the same argument going on back and forth, back and forth. But the second time on our read through, it's definitely a lot funnier and entertaining. Not in like a comical way, just more of a...
Calm down.
I don't know how to describe it, because I'm not as sucked into the book like the first time and really putting myself in Violet's shoes on the read through, because I'm more reading through, trying to get caught up, looking for details, entertainment. This is just a placeholder for Onyx Storm.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because do you know what I listened to this week?
What'd you listen to?
I re-listened to Mist and Fury.
Oh, you miss Resand?
I did. And honestly, it worked better for me the second time.
The sex scenes or the book?
Well, I haven't got to any of the real sex scenes other than Tampon and her right now.
Oh, yeah, because he goes down on her and like...
I'm not even getting into it. I specifically skipped that whole fucking chapter. But when the boom hits and Resand shows up, spoiler for that book, goddamn, the coolest scene in any of these books so far. And I'm like, Xaden's pretty cool, but so far I gotta give it to the old man on this one. He's way more charming.
I would say I'm still Empyrean series fan over the awayChapter series.
Oh, I would agree. I like the Empyrean books better, but Rhys is a better Shadow Daddy.
Oh, no.
Because Rhys is truly capable of such evil shit, and he is so powerful. So when he's kind, it is such a choice from the heart. He really has a duality of personality, and we don't see that as much with Xaden. We see with Xaden where he's like, oh, he's sweet to Violet, but he's kind of sweet to Violet. He's still guarded in so many ways.
I disagree, especially in the... Well, maybe
he literally just broke down his big secret, and he's got more.
Maybe. She said there can't be any more, can there? But he warned her, there's a knife in the armoire.
Go with daggers. You know.
Dagger.
She brought up an axe.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what's in the armoire? We'll get into that, because that's also in these chapters. But I think you're right.
I think Xaden's the one who's pushing her to open up, and that he's the one who's being open. Well, it took him a second. He was trying to find a really safe place to be open and honest.
That's not what happened. He made her figure it out so she would know to ask, and then put off answering it.
Oh, I think you're giving him a little too much credit on letting her figure it out. He's like, wait, you figured it out?
He only gave her that information so she could, and she addresses it that way. She's like, what else would be the reason? He knew she would figure it out.
I took it as he didn't mention it for her to figure it out. He mentioned it to be honest. And then he's like,
given her an unnecessary piece of information for the sake of honesty. Has not yet happened in this book.
Did he answer that question, or did he just stay quiet?
Which question?
The one where you wouldn't tell me that if you didn't want me to solve it, right?
Initially, he's like, I didn't know if I would ever want you to know. And she's like, bullshit, you told me this information so I'd figure it out. And he's like, I don't think so. And then later on, he's like, you're the smartest person I know. You can solve any mystery, Lady Batman. Like, it's so wild. He just does these mental gymnastics so that he doesn't have to say he's sorry.
And that's probably where I'm a little dense and I just take Xaden at face value. Xaden said this, therefore it must be true. And then Violet's like, I'm going to suss this one out.
Well, again, I don't necessarily know that I believe in the Bruce Wayne that is Violet Sorrengail. She figures out all of her shit, all the mysteries. And Xaden doesn't say, I'm sorry. Xaden says, how long will it take you to not be in love with me? She hears this shit and he goes, less than a minute. And she's like, don't read my mind. And he's like, I didn't even have to. It was written all over your face. Plus your shields are up. Well, how the fuck did you know her shields were up unless you tried, motherfucker? Like, goddamn.
That was such a sad scene.
No, this is the thing. It worked on you. He threw a pity party because he was a piece of shit about it. I'm not gonna lie, I get really mad at Xaden during that chapter.
What?
In that chapter only. The sex scene thing, like, chapter 48 is fine. I've listened to it far more than any grown, straight, cisgendered white man would ever volunteer to. And I'd do it again. Because you know what? I like that he starts off using Cat's old tricks, and then he gets his own.
He doesn't do the finger trick on her.
He starts with fingers.
No, well.
You re-listen to it. I listened to it twice to make sure I had this right.
I thought the finger trick was...
What do you think?
Where you go like, what's that spot?
The G spot?
Yeah, I thought that's all that the finger trick was.
Well, I'm sure that she instructed him, yeah. Here's the thing. It's not just an inward. It's also a reach back toward the front once you're there, right? Like, there's a trick to it. There's a technique.
And Cat taught him.
Correct.
But he wouldn't do that in the throne seat. He didn't.
You think he would avoid her G-spot because Cat showed him where it was? I don't think that would be nice to her either. I think instead you're like, hey, my ex-girlfriend showed me this trick that worked really well. And then you use that trick. If it works good for your new lady, even better.
I have a question for you.
Oh, no.
Is this Xaden's first time going down on a woman, or he just never went down on Cat?
I don't think Xaden's ever gone down on another woman.
I disagree.
No, we switched spots on this since we last discussed it.
Whatever
it's because you convinced me. Please share why you believe that to be the case.
Because you don't get a woman to that stage where I don't really want to re-describe it, but we all know what stage she just starts off at. As soon as...
Rude? What do you mean? What stage is she starting off at?
She's starting at, like, the final stage. When he's, like, going down, she's like, this white, hot fire feeling just...
Do you know how we know that it wasn't her final form, so to speak? She may have came, but the fact that she was capable of immediately just doing it again and again means that he left something in that tank.
What?
All I'm saying is multiple orgasms, awesome. An orgasm that straight up knocks her out, that's the shit you're going for.
Well, I was just kind of approaching it as like, wow, Xaden is so amazing. He got her to stage 5 within seconds.
I think, yeah, and I think his aesthetics and then his hot and cold attitude and her being in her 20s and full of sexual frustration, all of those things kind of gave the little man a trolling motor. So when he was paddling the pink canoe to get it where it was going, it was well on its way to the destination before the little man even had to touch oar to water, so to speak. I think Xaden is amazing.
So when we were listening to this, you had to talk me through what was happening also, because I was very confused. I thought she zapped him when she came, and
that's when he jumped back.
Yeah, she shocked him with her orgasm so violently, it threw him back to the table several feet, and he's just clinging for dear life to the table, breathing through this, fighting the shock that had just happened. And you're like, no.
Okay, so I do think you and I get very different things out of these books sometimes.
Oh, yeah, and I'm like, wow, he still has a boner still? Because she, like, points out his pants are just so tight around, I don't know how to say it.
Keep walking us through it.
Yeah.
You're not going to play this for school children. You can say it however you want.
But yeah, just the fact that he was still hard despite being electrocuted, I was impressed. And you're like, oh, no.
He wasn't electrocuted, but he was hard. So, you believe that he was struck on the tip of the penis as he left?
Well, he wasn't, though. I did in the moment.
And you were like, wow, still hard for her.
What a king. He can handle her.
Speaking of licking things that are kind of like licking an outlet, Xaden goes down on her, right?
Yes.
After he uses Cat's trick, we agree?
I don't want to agree, but I'm going to accept your truth on
so
this.
He was blasting.
He's finger blasting
her. Right. And then he goes down on her, which, as you sold me last time on, and now I'm a believer in it, you are not, for the very first time ever, instinctively knows what to do.
He has been with many women. Cat's puss was just not good enough for him that he never went down on
I don't
Cat.
like that word at all. I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable with that. You should leave it because the way it made me uncomfortable is so perfect. It describes you and I so well. I'm like, say whatever the fuck you want. And then you say one thing and I'm like, ooh, gross. I think Xaden would have went ahead and mowed down on her meow mix. Right? But the only reason I think that he had to have had other experiences, you don't naturally just do it correctly. You're too enthusiastic. You're changing things up. You're all over the place. And we all know the correct answer is you find where the lady likes it. Don't fucking do anything different.
That's exactly it. Yeah, he keeps it steady. He's doing exactly what she wants, the right amount of time.
She's not doing shit. She's sitting on a throne, laying back. Pillow princess in her way to the top.
Only a pro would know how to do that.
How to pillow princess her way to the top?
Oh, no, I'm talking about Xaden.
She's like, I'm a pro at getting eaten out. He's like, they call me this 5-star China buffet up in here.
Not the first throne.
That would be really funny.
There is...
He's like, this is a second throne I've been eating out on. This is crazy. Last guy had a crown that kept poking me in the belly button. Where's your crown, Riorson? Here's my thing. He's clearly using other things at his disposal, but he didn't want to use his wiener, right? Because he jumped on that grenade. He's like, no, this is for you. This'll show you I'm selfless and you're more than just a fuckable lady to me. Right. And then she's like, oh, you're so sweet.
No, she wasn't. She's like, get your dick over here.
That's true. She's ready for more. Again, I might add, she's aggressive.
Yeah, as a woman whoopee in that moment. That makes sense of like, get over here.
Yeah, that's true. But after you've been delivered a couple good old gasmic times, right? No, there's no fucking way she's come 3 or 4 times and she's like, come here, I want peen now.
Yeah, I think so. Part of her pleasure is him and seeing him suffer over there.
Yeah, suffering. He really is the Red Cross of Eaton Poon. He's just out there helping out where he can, UNICEF-ing his way into her heart.
It also cracks me up that they're in a large room and it's echoing and she is screaming his name and just picturing people are just walking by and probably hear all this going down like, oh my God.
I might add that the room is definitely sound shielded.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
It's 1,000% worded. It's the meeting room for all the important people.
Oh, okay. That's nice. And she didn't do any lightning outside of the room, so everyone was safe,
She was holding on to the old lightning orb the whole time.
Yeah.
Energizing that bad boy.
I had a little note that Xaden's actually just doing this for business purposes and trying to get the
we
orb.
Need more lightning. You know what to do. On your knees, Riors. Again, what I think is so cool about this is Xaden is a great character. This is probably a super sexy scene that has never once intrigued me, but it is equally as not erotic as her blowjob scene was.
What do you mean? Now I'm confused.
Do you remember when Violet had the blowjob scene?
Yeah.
In this book?
Yep.
And
she was all black and blue. I made fun of
the fact that it wasn't erotic at all for me. I was just like, wow, this is fucking weird. You woke up from a bad nightmare and are like, I know one cure. So she goes for her cure juice and now he's all like, he's kind of upset. He's like, I'll show her that she is my queen. Puts her on the throne, gets business done. And then like a true badass, denies his own cock. He looks that guy straight in the eye.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He's got one eye staring right back at him. And I looked at him. And he looked at me. And I looked at him. Anyway, they're staring at each other. And Xaden's like, go the fuck home. This isn't for us today. And he's like, I want to get in there. And Violet's like, bring him here. And Xaden's like, no, we don't need it. So as soon as he calms his cock down a little bit, he immediately starts an argument with her.
Oh, you're right.
Like immediately afterward. Like this was some favor he did. He's like, I went down on you and now I can be an asshole. You're like, what the fuck is
Was
happening?
he picking a fight with her, or was he trying to get her to face her feelings?
Is that something you would like me to do immediately after we have sex?
All right, you got a point.
Just pointing out, I know what my job is. Get you done and then rub your back until you fall asleep. What Xaden should have done was carry her to a room. Because if he did things correctly, she doesn't want to walk. And then,
Oh my gosh.
all I'm saying is she should have trouble. Carry her to the room, lay her in bed, and then pet her back and her forehead.
He had a meeting to go to, and she had classes.
You cut class to fuck. I think you could cut class to give her a nap afterward. Let her get some refractory time in.
No, all he did was wipe his mustache, and he headed to the meeting.
I bet he licked his lips and
Oh.
immediately started the argument. He's like, showered yesterday, huh, Soaring Gale? Oh, yeah, I forgot. We writers wear leather pants. Seals in the flavor. In the next book, they up the ante. Violet pegs him.
They need to up the ante by him using his signet.
Again,
Use the shadows.
it's funny you bring that up. That is where I was going with this earlier when we got distracted. He used everything but his penis, except for he also didn't use his shadows.
Yeah.
He gave her nipples no attention.
Yeah, like the shadows could have been up there doing something.
Yeah.
Nope.
Could have been supporting her, anything.
Nope.
Anything. And he did fucking nothing.
Nope.
He just left his hands covered in lady cream,
Oh.
and then he went down to the source.
Yeah, he hasn't used his shadows once in bed, right?
Not that we've been aware of.
Oh.
And he uses them to move around axes and shit.
He did the one time when I thought that he was faster than lightning.
Well, he was
Like-
smothering fires,
He smothered fire.
but he
and
hasn't blindfolded her or anything fun.
I thought he also like rolled her over with the
I
shadows.
think he did that with his 270 pounds of solid steel frame.
Okay, maybe.
I think the way he's described is he's like a 240-pound dude built like Dwayne Johnson. I'm pretty sure he didn't need the shadows to turn over a 110-pound girl.
It's been a little while since I listened to these chapters. A lot of what I'm going to go through with the notes are going to be as much of a surprise to you as they are to me.
I don't think they're going to surprise anybody but you. Everybody else listening to this has probably read the book.
Well, I read it, I wrote the notes, and I remember very little. So if I start defending anything, it's based off of my feelings in the moment 1 week ago.
Hey, that's fair. If I start countering you and playing devil's advocate, it's because it's fun.
Chapter 46 ended with Kat challenging Violet to the fight, and Darna is suggesting scratching her eyes out, Terrence suggesting taking out her kneecaps, and her finding out that Kat fights like Xaden. So chapter 47, here is a little recap. Kat's insulting her, and she's talking about her love life with Xaden, just raging. Anger's taking over Violet. Kat has Violet in a chokehold while saying and whispering in her ear, the little move that Xaden does with his fingers, he learned from me.
Dumb question.
Yeah.
If you're Violet in this moment, be like, do you think heart surgeons do like that cadaver you used to learn how to do a tracheotomy? That was my husband first. And surgeon's like, no. That's fucking dumb. I'd be like, listen, yeah, okay, he learned it from you and he's perfecting it with me. You're welcome.
I do like that Violet didn't have a comeback in that moment.
That's
she
Crazy choice of words.
Well,
You're
yeah, given the
amazing.
topic.
Good job. Violet didn't get a comeback.
That Violet just has this feeling of walking away and just reeling through the comments she's going to say, and then she delivers it later, which is flawless.
After the scene we just discussed.
Yeah, but if she would have done it in the moment, that would not have been characteristic for Violet.
So the point of this is to show Kat's using her power.
Yeah.
So she's inciting feelings and then intensifying them.
Yes. Violet nearly kills Kat. Kat still thinks she won. Do you think Kat won?
What? The fight?
Yeah.
No, I believe Violet nearly murdered her. I think
But
Kat lost.
Xaden technically pulled her off. Kat didn't tap out, but it's wild that Kat was willing to die, then tap out.
You gotta respect it. Really, you do. You can hate the game, but you can't hate the player. Kat is dedicated. She'd make a great queen.
Oh, yeah.
She's a frosty bitch. I think she'd be awesome.
And I think that's also part of what's so threatening to Violet is she can see that. She can see that she would make good royalty. She was raised in it, and Violet's feeling all, like, insecure over it. And then Xaden's just like, let me lick your puss. You're going to make a great queen.
My God, the way you can just let that roll off the tongue. No pun intended. Jesus.
And he also clarifies that he's not royalty.
He clarifies there is no crown.
Okay, yeah.
He does not clarify that he's not royalty. He literally clarifies that he was royalty. When he sits her down in the chair, he's like, that's a throne. Yeah. he thinks of himself as King Riorson.
No, he doesn't.
You don't think so?
No.
It's his chair. He's bringing up how it's his house. He's very possessive of things when it's convenient.
Well, chapter 48, he removes her boots, knowing she's into it in Fourth Wing, which is
a callback.
A little callback to the last time he was on his knees. He says, my house, my chair, my woman. Best line in the whole book. Oh, and then also, while he's going down on her, Onyx wraps around her mind and she can hear his thoughts. This is because of their bond? I get a little confused.
Yes. So his bond to her is Onyx.
This has nothing to do with his signet, right?
No. Him reading her intentions would be passive. It wouldn't be something she would be involved in. He's a type of intrinsic. So they're not exchanging thoughts. He can read her intentions. She can't just read his. Unless she's also intrinsic second signet.
Yeah, there is a theory that she can read minds also, and this would kind of play into that theory.
What an absurd thing. Again, we've developed signets for the sake of, what does Violet need? She needs to know if Xaden's fucking being honest with her. Second signet. We're right there.
Oh, speaking of second signet, I haven't locked in my theory yet. I'm just kind of all over the place.
No, you have to lock it in right now.
We have one more episode. I can lock it in the next one.
We will record the next episode when that book comes out, right?
No.
Okay. All right.
I haven't locked it in yet. I'm pretty adamant that she's not a true sayer, and that I think that Rebecca Yarros is implying that she could be and messing with people in the same way as we recently learned about the TV show Gravity Falls, with trying to throw people off on the second signet.
What if her second signet is she's just half dragon?
That is a theory that people have, and I'm not joking.
And Indarna's the silver dragon or something.
But I will lock in my theory next time.
How brave of you, waiting for the very last week. You're not going to get new information unless somebody posts something. Don't fucking do it, people.
We already kind of touched on a lot of the stuff in chapter 48.
Oh, did we?
We briefly mentioned her infantry ex-lover that is theorized to be
the surviving prince.
Yeah, the eldest, second. I think it is the eldest because the second one is who actually died. I don't know. I get so confused. A prince.
Sure, but not Auric Greycastle.
Xaden is pushing Violet to ask him questions, talking about her feeling inferior. And Violet agrees with you that Cat is just like Xaden.
Yeah, they are so similar. And that's what would make them a great lesbian couple. No?
Oh, Violet and Cat. I'm like, yeah. Xaden and Cat, a lesbian couple? What are you trying to get at?
We haven't seen his penis yet. She's only felt it in the dark. It could have been a shadow dong. We don't know. She slurped on it and she's like, tastes cold.
Because we've already determined the shadows are cold.
Yeah, can you imagine what warm shadows sound?
Ew, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Overall, Xaden is pushing her to face her emotions, and he does this later too. You called it a fight. Clearly, past me wrote this down as just trying to get her to come to terms with her emotions over everything. Oh, and we also learned that Cat came to their door in the robe. Yeah. Violet didn't go to Cat's room, knock, and Cat opened the door, and Cat's in her robe.
Cat showed up, tits out.
Cat walked across a dormitory, knocked on his door, and Violet answered.
I don't even think that Violet and Xaden are in the dormitory. They're in Xaden's fucking room. She may have had to traverse floors to get there.
I think so, because I think they're on the top floor.
She hit elevation, baby.
All the more threatening to Rhiannon and her partner. Cat was seen walking the halls in this robe.
What do you mean? And nobody should be threatened. Everybody should just be happy that it happened.
I feel like it was the most sane thing in this book of someone reacting to Xaden. No women besides Cat and Violet are into it.
They're like, where are you going? And she's like, excuse me? I'm cooted out right now. Where do you think I'm headed? Why don't you Scooby-Doo your way through this, motherfucker?
Get in line.
Just marching up the stairs. Oh,
Even the walk back, knowing Cat, she's just like, I'll just try again later.
It's only a walk of shame if you got shame, bitch.
Yeah.
She's like, nah. She's like, I left the robe there so they knew what I was wearing.
Oh.
She just walks back, buck-ass dude. People are like, God damn, it's a little cold in here. Did you see Cat's nipples?
Bodhi's like, I kind of look like him, right?
Bodhi's just, he keeps walking everywhere backwards, hoping she thinks it's Xaden. He's on his tippy toes.
Ooh, doing a small recap at the end of chapter 48. And after she shares the story of Cat being in a robe at their door, Xaden talks about how he gave her a dagger to protect her from Cat early on, like in her first year, I think, during like I don't know when, but she's already had this dagger on her and she wasn't bothered by this. I saw it as like, Xaden, should have told her this. You knew this was going to be a problem long before we got here. Violet, lovely. She did not pick a fight with this like I probably would have.
Yeah, I think Violet's been a goddamn rock star about all of this. Like, I know these are not the chapters that we're supposed to be upset with Xaden in, but in the second reread of this, I'm like, this dude is such a shit in these chapters, and Violet is a fucking rock star. She's dealing with the stress of putting up the wards and training with the Griffin fliers and all of these things. Xaden is going out on missions.
Nearly dying.
Sure, nearly dying, 100%. Like, he's got some stress going on. But then he comes home and he broods. Does that make sense? And Violet's trying to keep things up. Like, imagine Xaden's having to deal with the male version of Cat throughout all of this and have to train with blah, blah, blah. Violet is not Cat's superior.
I think we're going to get the male version of Cat later. I think
we have it. I think it's Xaden.
Oh, no, I mean like the idea of Violet's ex interacting with Xaden. There is one comment that one of them make, I think Violet throwing it in his face of, you're not out there on the mat with my ex. Or it was something like that. It was one of them. But it just felt like heavy foreshadowing.
I do agree.
That Xaden's going to be on the mat with Violet's ex at some point.
And in that moment, I think we're going to be able to look in and go, wow, that's a tough spot to be in. Like we can right now with Violet, where we're like, God damn, she's got the weight of the world on her shoulders. And she put most of it there. To be completely fair. Right? She's the one that decided to go to Poromil. She's the one that decided to bring all the riders from Basgiath.
But I think she's handling the jealousy really well compared to what I think Xaden would be handling the jealousy. She's just wearing a flight jacket, his cousin's flight jacket, when she was cold. And he got jealous and Violet's like, oh, thanks for thinking about me a year ago in advance by giving me this dagger in case I ever encountered her. But it's also okay that you never told me that she existed.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So yeah, I would have picked a fight there. Xaden then Xaden then tells her that he never went down on Cat. And my little...
Admits it. She's like, you've done that before. He's like, I promise I haven't.
I've never gone down on her.
I've never done it before.
And I have a little note that I doubt they cleaned up before he went to his meeting and she went to her classes. Chapter 49.
What could she possibly have to clean up? He literally licked her clean. She's fine.
Chapter 49 is them giving patches to the fliers. Violet welcomes Cat and fliers to Iron Squad, and Violet thanks her for teaching Xaden the little trick. And Imogen is cackling, and I love that little detail that this is what breaks Imogen.
Imogen wants Violet to be the confident, strong, you know what I mean? Everything she knows her friend to be, but has seen her friend feel like less. Like, I think that would be a really powerful moment.
And again, they are friends, even if Imogen tries to deny it.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't even think Imogen would deny it at this point.
And Darna then adds, I could use a snack, implying Cat. Taryn corrects her, we don't eat our allies.
Yeah, I think Indarna's like the devil on your left shoulder. most of the time in this.
Yeah,
Right?
but Taryn
whatever
isn't.
bad idea you're having, because Violet's barely out of being a teenager, and Andarna is really just getting into being a teenager. And it's really funny, because all of her immature teenagery impulses are what Andarna is like, yes, we do it. And Taryn's like, motherfuckers, stop.
And Taryn's not the angel on the other shoulder. He's more like the gray angel.
Taryn is funny because he is always giving you the correct answer, but he's kind of reminding you that you're a dumbass for him having to give you that answer. He's the Red Foreman of this group, if you ever watched that 70s show.
Oh, you're right.
We're just like, you fucking moron. And then he gives it to him, and he's like, see, I shouldn't have to do this.
But yet he also kind of wants to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he doesn't want to be seen as too warm and fuzzy.
That's a really good analogy. Chapter 49 continues with Violet heading to the library. Sawyer is flirting with Jesinia.
No, he isn't.
He's trying.
He's trying. He is not flirting with her. And this is where Ridoc is so funny. He's like, Jesus Christ, that was a fast conversation. She's like, he only knows like 3 phrases.
But I think Hip tried.
I think it's adorable.
Would be flirting to her.
I hope so.
And the fact that Violet's not talking to her about it. I want to hear what Jesinia thinks of Sawyer.
Here's the thing. I bet Jesinia can read lips. Like, I think it's great that he's learning, but also, like, have you ever met a deaf person that couldn't read lips?
She just finds it.
She just letting him really struggle through.
Yeah, because it's cute, and I bet she's into it.
I think it's awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Ooh, the fact that Jesinia is the one writing this book and she's not adding in anything, they're all telling Jesinia these stories.
Is Jesinia deaf or mute?
I believe mute.
So she doesn't need to read lips. She can hear everything they're saying.
I don't know. I don't know, I guess. Oh, okay. According to the wiki page, she is deaf. I bet at some point it's said or something like that.
I think it is, and that's where I just couldn't remember which way. And then I chose the wrong side. I had a 50-50.
Well, I think considering her situation was really considerate.
And she's enjoying Sawyer's attention. And I think it's wonderful. I think she can also see that Ridoc and them are fucking with him the whole time.
I don't think that he's learning from Ridoc at all.
Well, I'm Ridoc, I'm always doing stuff like, do this.
If Ridoc is just signing all the time, almost like a captions-like thing to try to...
Yeah, just backing him up. He's there to back up his boy.
Just to mess with him the entire time.
He's just squat thrusting the whole time.
Ridoc does seem like the type that as he's over there, that he is standing behind Jesinia, making faces or doing like
behind
thrusts.
Jesinia?
Yeah, so Jesinia can't see.
Oh, no. I think Jesinia needs to see it. The joke is for Jesinia. You're playing the joke on your friend. You don't make the other person your prop.
Oh,
your buddy's your prop.
I saw it as you're trying to throw your buddy off their game while they're trying to flirt. And so you're in the background behind the girl and trying to mess him up.
If I'm air humping my buddy behind him, he's also distracted. I promise. He's aware of what I'm doing and he's trying to get me to stop.
Okay, I have him much farther away from the situation.
I have him walking up and then the whole time just fucking around. And then Jesinia's looking over every so often. And that's when Sawyer's frustrated. Like, God damn it, Ridoc, get out of here. And you're like, I'm helping. Don't worry about it. Jesinia's reading the lips anyway. Sawyer doesn't know that she knows how to read lips. So he's like, I don't want to tell her that I want to fuck. Get there. And then she's like, oh.
I can definitely tell what you guys are saying.
I can see you have an erection. I'm not blind, I'm deaf.
Sawyer takes a shot. They are receiving books and weapons from tecarus. I think we talked about how they should have left double agents in Basgiath for their weapons and whatnot. Mm-hmm. They don't need to. They're getting it from tecarus.
Well, for the information was really why. The weapons would be great. Tecarus doesn't have imbued weapons.
But Violet can imbue, so it doesn't matter.
Correct. You're not wrong, but it is a lot of manpower to imbue weapons. If the idea was for it to be fuel for your wards, like it is for Navarre.
True. I'm not disagreeing that they probably should have left double agents. Yeah. I was just saying it wasn't a complete loss by not doing it because they had an alternative.
I don't know, man. They happened to find an alternative. They didn't have one. This wasn't the point.
I don't remember this being a part of the deal. I thought they only got the
The Luminary.
Yeah, the Luminary. I thought that's all they got. I didn't know that they were getting weapons.
The thing with the Luminary was supposed to be they would supply tecarus with weapons. And
what's the difference between a Luminary and a forge?
Don't ask me. I still don't know what the fuck a Luminary does. I'm guessing it's like a forge for imbuing or for making imbued weapons. For making alloy weapons. Because they just call it alloy. Because magic metal didn't have the same ring to it.
According to a Reddit post, it's a specific part of the forge that they use to intensify dragon fire so it gets even hotter to smelt the alloy to forge the weapons needed to kill venin. There are 2 luminary that we know of. Oh, it's not luminaries? One in Basgiath and one held by the Viscount. If I recall correctly, the one held by the Viscount is a ring of blue crystals the size of Sigale. In Ironflame, he ends up trading the Luminary in exchange for weapon supply to the Griffin Drifts in Poromil and the 100 Griffin Flyer cadets they ended up taking back to Basgiath. Their academy was destroyed, so they needed to go somewhere else. Wow, thank you, escaped my mind on Reddit 1 year ago. That was thorough.
It was.
But moving forward, the last little recap of chapter 49 is Dain points out the translation is wrong. They talk about their history. Her and Dain have actually a really civil conversation.
An excellent communication, I might add.
I really stewed on this one for a little bit. I don't necessarily think that everything going on between Violet and Xaden is miscommunication. And to be able to say that what her and Dain were discussing was good communication because there was no yelling, there was no fighting. I think what is going on between Violet and Xaden is they're stubborn. Violet hears what he's saying. She knows what he's saying. She understands it. But she doesn't feel heard, and she's stubborn, and she wants things her way, like, this is what I want, this is what I need. And Xaden is doing the same exact thing. He hears what Violet is telling him, but he's also stuck in his ways, stubborn, and sharing what he's saying. And in this conversation with Dain, I don't think that it's necessarily good communication. I think that Violet is stubborn. She says what she wants. Don't talk to me about this. I don't want to discuss it. End of story. And Dain listens, I guess.
So the only reason I would say what Violet and Xaden are doing is poor communication. It's not for lack of understanding each other. It's the lack of desiring why they're saying what they're saying. Because if Xaden cared as to why Violet had this problem, and understood what problem she was having, he would fix it.
But I don't think it's a miscommunication. I think you hit the nail on the head several episodes ago with compromise. Neither one of them want to compromise.
Sure. And I'm not disagreeing with what I said then either. But I think both things are true. They may both be effectively communicating what they want, but neither one are receiving it correctly. Therefore, that's the other half of communicating.
Yeah, I see.
Transmitting is not the issue. It's receiving it. And that's why I think Dain and Violet did a great job. Because it wasn't complicated. Not all forms of communication are complicated. It was concise. And Violet transmitted her needs. And then Dain received her needs and behaved accordingly. I think that's a mark of good communication.
I see what you're saying.
They do just disagree.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally fine. Like I said, and I won't beat them up. Well, I'm going to beat both of them up a little bit on that because it's not healthy. And it even gets called out.
Yeah.
Garrett called it out.
Yes, they do later. But he tells her to be careful with her words. And he asks, are you in love with Xaden? Because after what he heard Xaden say back in Basgiath, he would be in love with him. And she obviously says yes. I'm really shocked at how oblivious Dain is to all of this.
I think what he was trying to get is something very direct as opposed to extra information being included. Because he asked a simple question, he wanted a simple answer that she was certain of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he kind of knew when to let go, which I don't think he was necessarily, I don't think he was owed that, to be honest. But I think it's nice that they had that moment.
So they moved past that. Now they're at this stage and she's just like, we're not going to talk about it. And they proceed to not talk about it.
Which I think is fair, but I really will admit, Dain's redemption arc is good.
So far.
I don't think Dain's going to go back on things. And even Xaden, when he reads his intentions, knows that his intentions are to be a part of their group and to do the right thing. And Violet points it out. She's like, the whole reason he came with us is because it was the right thing to do, even with a group of people who fucking hate him. I thought it takes some balls.
So you don't think that he's going to turn out to be a double agent or anything like that?
Nope. I think Dain had his shitbird moment, and I think Dain is becoming the person that Violet knew him as. I think he kind of had to be deprogrammed after his year in Basgiath.
I also thought that Xaden could only read the intentions of people who have their shields down. And that a lot of second years and older all have their shields up.
Yes, that's true. Dain's shield slipped.
That makes sense. This also follows with if, hypothetically, Brennan ends up not being a good person, that his shields have been up the entire time, so Xaden hasn't been able to really read him.
I think that's probably true. Because Xaden brings up with Dain. He's like, Dain let his shield slip for a fraction of a second.
Right.
I saw his intentions.
That's right. He does clarify that.
Yep.
Chapter 50, no rider feels as though they've reached their limits to their power. Venin temptation? Why did I write that?
As in you think that's why they would be tempted to become venin?
Oh, yeah, that is why I wrote that.
I got you better.
That if riders feel as though they're not reaching their full potential all the time, are they being turned venin because of that? Part of that whole, what's the recruiting system look like for the venin?
I don't think they need one. I think the people who are prone to becoming venin tend to find it their own way. Like, there's not a meth salesman on the corner recruiting people to come smoke meth, right? The people that are going to find it tend to find it.
At the beginning of chapter 47, we learn the different stages of being venin. Initiates have reddish rings to their eyes that come and go depending on how often they drain. Do you think it's possible that Xaden just never moves forward from that stage?
They're going to find a way to cure him.
It sounds like it's a rank. Like they have their own ranking system. Could you just like...
Oh, I took it differently.
Oh, I thought that you could be dishonorably discharged
from veninous?
From being venin.
And then you're just a free agent out there drawn from the source?
No, that you'd no longer draw or something like that. Like go vegan on the source.
And
then you
get... of the venin is kind of like vegans anyway, honestly.
No.
Because I think because of Scott Pilgrim, do you remember?
Yes.
The vegan powers. That's exactly what I think of the venin is. They're just cow's milk in my coffee? No.
Well, I'm going to hold out on Xaden doesn't need to move up to the next stage. He just stays at an initiate.
Not if he's going to beat what's the final stage called after Sage?
Oh, the next one is Asim. Eyes fluctuate in degrees of red and vein affected by emotions. Above.
It's like drop trow. I want to see the vein.
Wrong veins.
Can't prove that. It's probably all of them.
Ew.
Yeah,
oh my God, you're probably right.
Yeah.
You know who would know?
Devera. Just controlling the blood flow. Get a read on that one.
Sages are the next, number 3, and they are responsible for the initiates, and their eyes are permanently red. And the top is Mavens. They are like generals and have never been captured.
Yes, they don't know diddly dick about them.
And neither do we. Back to chapter 50. Her target practice isn't going well, and she's practicing her Darth sideus magic, realizing her power is beautiful and control doesn't overheat her. She was talking about it being calm, and yeah, she wasn't...
It's almost soothing.
Yeah.
Right. Which makes sense.
So I took that scene as telling us that when she is in control, she's not overheating.
I'm on board with that.
At the end of chapter 50, Xaden, Emery, and Heaton show back up. Heaton has a massive contusion on their face. The venin took 7 of the people. My ending note is I got confused on all of this conversation and just really...
They fought venin, nearly lost, and it seems as though Heaton took the majority of it. Right on the chin, so to speak.
Yes, but Heaton is still alive. That's all that matters to me.
That's true. That's true.
Heaton...
When they get ready to have the ocean battle, they're in big trouble. They should have killed Heaton when they had the chance.
Heaton is not going to be killed off. I will lose my mind. This is a side character I'm rooting for.
Yeah, you left Liam back in the field.
I want to see Heaton use their power at least once. Chapter 51. They're on a roof, I believe, eating chocolate cake. Violet's talking about all the snow.
You don't remember this scene?
No.
Xaden goes off brooding when they get back. He's like, I'll talk to you later.
Why is he brooding?
He's going up on the roof to just sort out the feelings from his day. And then Violet shows up, and he's like, don't, it's dangerous on the roof. And she's like, I've crossed parapets, motherfucker. I can walk on a roof. And she does, and nearly slips while holding cake. Terrified. And Xaden's still angry, and she's like, can you be angry and eat chocolate cake? And he's like, yeah, try a little bit of cake. And then it's the first time she's tried cake since she's been there, and she's like, this is so much better than anything we've had at Basgiath, because I think they got like MRE cake, near as I could tell.
When I picture Basgiath food, it is nasty.
Yeah, it seems to be mostly, it's fuel. It's not a culinary experience.
A lot of protein.
They got a lot of fruit, though, remember? Every time somebody offered oranges, there was one guy in particular that was real.
Oh, yeah, they had a lot of fruit and muffins. We learned a lot about Basgiath food because...
Crumpets or something.
Yeah, because she would
Biscuits.
Poison them.
Yeah, that's it. Like, she's like, oh, the food at Basgiath kind of sucked. And I'm like, yeah, especially when you're handing it out. It's always fucking poisoned. Like, this cake doesn't taste at all like arsenic.
It would be hilarious if before they went to war, if they started serving like lobster or something to all the cadets. They're like, oh, are the venin coming? They're like, shh.
It's a good meal. Did you want lobster for your last meal? What does everybody want? Somebody's like, I want dragon tenders.
Oh
Fuck
my
you.
God.
Get him out of here. He's a venin. We found him. I don't know where we were going with this. Oh, yeah, they're on the roof. He's brooding. He has cake. They eventually get off the roof.
She brings up there's going to be 7 inches of snow.
And he said, maybe you'll have more than 7 inches if you're good. I mean, actually, no, that one was just mean because that's exactly when she's like, we're supposed to get 7 inches tonight. And then if he wouldn't have said that, I'd have been really upset because that is the only correct response. It's to be like, you can get more.
It's the most realistic man scene. I don't know how to word this.
And she's like, really, dick jokes? And what he should have said was, no joke. But fine.
It is in this chapter that I wonder if he knows that she is scared to ask questions that will risk their relationship, and therefore he doesn't want to offer up relationship-ending information without her asking.
Do you think part of what makes it nearly relationship ending a lot of times is that she has to get to the point where she asks?
If there's never a good time to bring up the deal with her mother, and you know she's aware of it, then it makes sense you'd be under the impression that she's not ready to talk about it.
I'll let you have that one. I disagree, but I think I might just handle the situation incorrectly.
The odd place their relationship is at, how they're moving forward, how they know they're long-term. They want to be endgame. They want all these things. They're trying to get to this stage. I think that he just doesn't want to push her boundaries with information that even she herself knows she doesn't want yet. Therefore, just ask me and I'll tell you.
There's a knife in the armoire.
Yeah, I think that happens kind of soon. This one, they're talking about they're screwed for the war. They figured out the word is actually flame. Dain quietly admits that, at some point we transition off the roof. I didn't give myself that note.
It's right about here, to be fair. They're talking about being screwed for the war, and I believe that's still on the rooftop, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
And she's like, why are you so butthurt? And he's like, we're going to fucking lose.
Yeah, I think she got that information from Xaden. Then she's back with hanging out with Dain. They figure out the word flame. He quietly admits that he likes Xaden's idea for the squad arrangement. They solve the word breath, and they solve dragons. Chapter 50.
Those do seem like pretty major factors.
Yeah, she solved all of it, because there was a...
She solved all of it?
I didn't mean just her.
They.
We
gotta give Dain his due here.
It's part of his redemption, so we'll give credit where credit is due. I wonder if he's trying to get back to, I want to be your friend again.
Yeah. And if we compare this to how Violet interacts with the people whom she values as friends even, nobody's putting in this much work into a relationship as much as Dain is in this situation.
I think Violet's at a point, their friendship is take it or leave it. You get what you can out of it. I don't think she cares about Dain.
I don't think Violet owes him anything more. I'm not focused at all on Violet in this. I am merely saying, from Dain's side of this, what more could Dain be doing?
I think Dain's relationship with Violet, even at this, where he is just doing as he's told, like, we're doing this, right? And he is trying to mend whatever they have. If Dain was ever in a relationship with another girl, this would not work out. Yeah, whoever his partner is, it's not going to work out with the type of relationship he has with Violet.
The difference that I'm seeing with this is Dain isn't just bending to Violet's will. Dain is showing that he trusts Violet's decision-making. Because where all of their problems started was when she showed up to Basgiath and he didn't trust that she could make it.
Okay, that's a good clarification.
And I would say at this point, when Violet says, I need this, he knows, yes, I trust you. You think you need this? Let's do it. That's what I see it as.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, because if he has a relationship similar to...
Everybody else kind of does the same shit with Violet, to be fair.
Yeah, I see it similar to Imogen in some ways, that if she was to go up to Imogen and say, this is what I need, Imogen is like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is looking at this separate from his relationship with Violet as a redemption for Dain, just in who Dain is as a character right now. I see it as a big, huge leap forward. He fractured trust with her, but if you look at this as he's just trying to rebuild trust, then it's kind of empty. But instead, if you view it as he recognizes where he went wrong in not trusting his friend, and then seeing what position he believed in the whole time and how wrong that was, I think he's doing a good job.
All right.
We don't have to like Dain.
No, you're right. I think I could give...
doing okay.
I could give him a fair chance.
Again, I'm not suggesting we grow to love Dain.
But I do know I don't hate Dain to the same degree that many other people do. But
you hate Cat enough for everyone.
Yeah, nobody hates Cat as much as me, clearly. Those out there, they're far and few, whatever that phrase is.
Few and far between.
Few and far between. We're out there.
There are literally dozens.
Literally dozens. The half-nude girl coming to your door.
Everybody's like, oh, she did what she needed to do. I respect everybody's game in this, honestly. I'm not upset with anybody. Xaden's game is the only one that I don't give a pass to. And I think it's only because Xaden is not critical of Xaden. Xaden has a rationale for every secret he's kept, and he maintains that.
What do you think when you listen to the bonus chapters? I think Xaden's incredibly critical of Xaden.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I think you're right. I think Xaden is critical of Xaden in Xaden's head. Xaden is not openly critical of Xaden. You know, like when you're young and you're like trying to help your dad with something, then he just blows a fucking gasket. And then later on, he's probably like, oh, I kind of went too far. Well, I'll be nicer next time.
That's 100%. Because my dad one time even said, you don't apologize to your kids. And then I'm like sitting there like, I wish you apologized to me. And then I go and apologize to my kids like, oh, here's a nice little reminder.
It's kind of a thing, right? We need to acknowledge our mistakes. It's okay to make them as long as you can acknowledge them. And I don't see Xaden acknowledging a lot of his.
At the very beginning, I told you, I don't remember these chapters very well, but I remember my feelings while reading them.
Yeah.
I feel as though Xaden does apologize at some point.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not the word I'm sorry. In the same way that Violet, she said I'm sorry to Cat, and that threw me through a loop. I was with Cat on that one. Cat's like, what?
And I was with Violet. You can apologize when you were wrong.
But to think that was part of Violet's character and normal, that's the first time I think Violet's ever apologized.
Oh, well, Violet is growing. No, Violet has apologized to Ree a few times in this book.
The words I'm sorry, the word sorry.
I think she would say, I'm sorry, I'll stop lying to you. I think there were those moments.
I remember it stood out to me in that moment when she apologized to Cat, an actual I'm sorry.
That's fair.
And I was like, whoa. And then Cat's also like, whoa. I'm like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be on Cat's side with this one, but that is weird. She's like, well, I can apologize. So I'm like, you're absolutely right. But at the same time, that seemed out of character to me.
And to be fair, it would probably be out of character for Xaden. So maybe that's a part of it too. I'm probably a little harsh on Xaden.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I don't think I'm quite as harsh on Xaden as you think I am. I think the truth of Xaden lies somewhere betwixt us.
I would agree with that. Because I think a happy medium.
I think you give such an egregious pass that my reaction to it is to devil's advocate and just prosecute the shit out of him. And then I'm like, okay, He's a human.
I think because of your reaction to these books or anything like that gives me a better appreciation for Violet in the reread.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Whatever Xaden's feelings need, that's what Xaden should get. And if Violet's not doing that, then screw Violet. And then this time around, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, Xaden. She's got some really good points. And then Xaden talks. I'm like, I don't know, Violet. Xaden's got some good points. And that's when I landed on, it's not miscommunication. Both of them are just stubborn. They both have great points. They're both correct somehow at the same time.
Because they're both focusing on themselves. And I think this is the whole root of this. You're not wrong for having your feelings about yourself. What can make you wrong is how you consider another person.
You don't think Xaden's considering her by not trying to give her relationship ending information that she's not ready for?
Adri, if I hit a bus of toddlers tomorrow and murder 30 children, I know you're going to react that poorly. Let's say I get hammered drunk and I hit a pedestrian and I'm like, guys, nobody tell my wife right now. She wouldn't stay with me through this process. And I choose not to tell it to you until 20 years later. And I'm like, so funny story. I got drunk 20 years ago and hit a fucking pedestrian. You are not going to be cool with that.
That is a violent overreaction to Xaden's information that he shared.
His information is he's been manipulating you for months by reading whatever your intentions are.
No, it's
okay.
Considered a death penalty to their culture.
He didn't trust her with his life. Is what it really boiled down to. And I'm not saying that he isn't entitled to feel that way. What I'm saying is it's not coming from a consideration of her actual feelings. It's coming from a consideration of his actions and how her feelings will affect him.
You're absolutely right. And Violet calls all of this out too.
Correct.
I think she even has like a little sidebar with us and she says, I don't understand why he doesn't get this. What she's trying to convey to him.
But I think they're both doing it.
Yes, they are both right. They are both stubborn. They are both keeping secrets.
They're both right and wrong. There is duality. They are fleshed out characters in that sense.
And what's really impressive is Violet keeps secrets from us because Violet figures out his second signet before she ever literally thinks it. Does that make sense? If we hear all of Violet's thoughts, she wasn't thinking it.
The crazy thing is, he's like, we're going to talk about it when we go out there in the field. She starts guessing shit, and he's like, stop guessing. Stop guessing. And I'm like, motherfucker, you know the easiest way to get somebody to stop guessing is to just fucking tell them. And you know she's going to get there. What are you doing? You're like, I'm going to buy myself 20 more seconds of love.
I don't think it was like that. I think he couldn't bring himself to say the words out loud because it was such a scary, dangerous thing.
I cannot truthfully think of one thing that I could not say to you. I couldn't imagine. The scariest thing to me will forever be the first day I told you that I loved you. Like your mama's cheeks, we gotta split this one.
We got a little long-winded there, so we're gonna make a part 2.
I'll see you in part 2, motherfuckers.
It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddies Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.